Today's December 9th. And I'm looking at this article on CNN.com. A firm that helps protect businesses and cities from cyber attacks just got hit by one. See, no joke. The article goes on to say the cybersecurity firm FireEye said Tuesday it had come under cyber attack by highly sophisticated actors, likely sponsored by a nation state. You know who, when we say nation state, you know who we're talking about? We're talking big countries like China, North Korea, Russia, Brazil. It's big countries with deep pockets that they have entire teams of people who do this every day for a living. FireEye. FireEye is one of, if not the biggest cybersecurity company in the United States and maybe the world. So their business model is to help companies, large and small, mostly large, to test their defenses. So those who work for your company, who are responsible for defending your network, they are your blue team. So your company would hire somebody like FireEye to come in and pen test them. That's called a red team test. So you have blue team defenders and red team attackers. And when the two of them are working together, red team testing blue team's abilities, that's called purple teaming. FireEye has sophisticated red team tools that they've developed in-house. Well, a lot of those tools were stolen. So now whoever infiltrated their network and exfiltrated those tools now have those tools in their toolbox. This is terrifying. You thought ransomware was bad. Mandiant, FireEye, is incredibly good at what they do. They make a lot of money doing what they do. They are one of the best, if not the best. So what does that mean for you and me? Well, it means that the enemy just got stronger and the enemy just got smarter. So that brings me to ransomware. Last week, I received a report from Crowdstrike, another cybersecurity company, and they published information about cyber attacks that they saw from their customers in 2019. And they have global reach. So CrowdStrike is able to see what cyber attacks look like on a global scale. And in their report, they said in 2018, they saw a lot of cyber attacks targeting credit unions. Why? A lot of money, small cybersecurity budget, small IT staff. That translates to an easy target. That was 2018. 2019, they saw healthcare providers, doctors and dentists getting hit. They were the target. Now we're 2020, the year of the pandemic. What now? What about 2020? Early in the year, some of the larger adversaries, they stated they would not target the healthcare companies, the first responders, those on the front lines of the pandemic. Well, they lied. And it turns out they did start targeting hospitals and doctors' offices and dentists and everything in the medical field. They lied? Yeah. they're bad guys. That's they lie and cheat and steal. That's the name of the game for them. That's what happened with FireEye. The bad guys stole their tools. So what does that mean for you and me, small business owners? That means the bad guys are stronger, and they lie and cheat and steal, and they're targeting you. They're targeting you because your cybersecurity budget is tiny. And their cybersecurity budget, their attack tools, their budget's massive because they make a lot of money on it. Your budget is small because you don't make any money from that. Well, what happens when you get hit with ransomware? If you're in the medical field and you get hit with ransomware, that means your files get copied off of your network, and then the files that are left get encrypted. And then you get a ransom note, and that ransom note says, go to this dark web address. Yes, the dark web is a thing. Go to this dark web address and pay us a Bitcoin, or pay us 2 Bitcoin, or pay us 3 Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin's anonymous. It can't be traced back to them. So now you have to figure out how to get Bitcoin because you're most likely not involved with Bitcoin. So you go get Bitcoin and you send it to this anonymous address, an anonymous organization. Could be one person, could be 100 people, could be a nation state, could be organized crime, could be some kid in his mom's basement. But the likelihood is, what did you just do when you paid a Bitcoin to the bad guy that attacked you? Well, in all likelihood, at the very least, you just funded their illegal activities going forward. At worst, you just funded terrorism. And the money that you just paid them is now going to be used to buy AK-47s and rounds for AK-47s. And then they will be used to shoot American Marines. So, I don't know how you feel about that. I wouldn't feel good about that. What's your alternative? Well, don't pay the Bitcoin. If you don't pay the Bitcoin, you don't get the decryption keys. There are some websites where you can upload the ransom note and they will be able to tell you if they can decrypt that file or not. There are some other companies that will claim they can decrypt every file, but you know what they're doing? You're sending them the ransom note and they're contacting the bad guy and they're negotiating with the bad guy for a smaller ransom. They're going to guarantee the bad guy gets the ransom. They're going to then charge you less than the ransom. They're going to scrape some off the top, pay the ransom. They'll get the decryption key, then they'll decrypt your files for you. Now, they're not telling you that this is what they're doing, but it's what they're doing. So if you don't get the decryption key, what can you do? Well, if it's ransomware that's well known and the encryption algorithm that was used or the implementation of the encryption algorithm was easy to break, then you can probably just get those decryption keys for free. And then if you do, you can decrypt your files and you're okay. But people have said to me, well, Tom, I'm okay because I have a backup solution. I have drives plugged into my servers and those servers back up all my critical data every day. Excellent. You know what the problem is? Implementation. They have, in order to back up the server to the external drive, they've mapped a drive letter because it makes it easier. And now they just back up to the E drive or the G drive. Well, guess what? One of the first things ransomware does when it executes on that server is it looks for drive letters. And as soon as it finds a drive that's mapped to a letter, a G drive or an E drive or an F drive, it encrypts that machine that's mapped to that drive letter. So your backup solution is now encrypted as well. So the only thing you can do is either back up to the cloud, which is off-site, and it's backed up through software, so it's not mapped to a drive letter, and it's the ransomware is not going to see it. It's agnostic. So back up off-site, or if you back up locally, make sure that you leave the backup drive unplugged until you're ready to back up. Plug it in, hit the backup, wait for it to finish processing, and then unplug it. Now, the first time it's going to take a while. The first time you back up your critical files, it's going to take hours. But after that, if you just do incremental backups or differential backups, it's only going to back up the files that changed. That takes a lot less time. I know some of you are saying, Tom, wait a minute. If I do this every Friday, say, now I've got an employee who's got to do this physically, plug in and unplug. So they've either got to quit work earlier on Friday and do this, or they have to wait until all the staff leaves and then do it after work on Friday. Nobody wants to stay after work on Friday. I get it. This is where you have to make the decision. How do you want to handle this? I know budgets are tight. Things are tough this year. Nobody wants to allocate more money to defense. I get it. So you have to just consider the alternatives. Number one, you are going to get hit with ransomware. It's a matter of time. I know you're telling me, Tom, my IT guy tells me we're fine. We have Cisco ASA firewalls. We have Suricata intrusion detection systems. We have our host-based firewalls. We have our endpoint detection response. We have all the defense mechanisms in place. We're good. My question to you is, well, first of all, my commendation to you. Fantastic that you've done all these things. My question to you is, do you have anybody that opens email? Do you have anybody that surfs the web from inside your network? Because that's how ransomware gets through and past all of those defenses. Email is a straight shot from the internet to inside your network. Your employee opens the file that's got ransomware. The ransomware reaches out to the internet and downloads a second stage payload, and it deletes all your volume shadow copies. Those are your restore points. Turns off your antivirus. Sometimes it'll set scheduled tasks so that it can maintain persistence and edits registry keys, and then starts encrypting files. So it's already established persistence and you didn't even know. See, there are two sides to the coin. There's the prevent side and there's the detect side. Most of you are trying to do your best at prevention, but prevention will always fail. You can only make a wall so thick, and even a wall so thick can still be drilled through. Given enough time and opportunity, any attack will be successful. Just ask FireEye. They'll tell you. That's all for now.